What's up, folks? It is Jafer. Today we're going to take a look at Gamesense Meta, the brand new mouse that has its final official release. I've had it for about 2 weeks now, and I loved their Gamesense Radar control pad, one of my favorite control pads out. I'll leave a link in the description for the video below or right above here if you want to check it out. But without further ado, let's dive in and see if this mouse is a Meta. Coming in at $59.99 USD, the Gamesense Meta is a small wired mouse, and the measurements of 119 by 59 by 38.5 is going to be a striking resemblance to the S2, although it is going to be a few millimeters shorter. And the really nice thing about this shape being so heavily influenced by the S2 is going to be the fact that it's very versatile on your grip because it has a really flat surface on the top. And with those flares coming out on the side here, it's going to be perfect for anyone that's going to be claw gripping like myself. With the side buttons being where they're at, it's going to offer some flexibility if you need to switch on the fly to a fingertip grip. Because again, going back to that flat spot, it's not an excessive hump that's going to be really uncomfortable for any fingertip gripper. So it's flexible in that aspect, but not so much with a palm grip. Although I will say if you are a palm gripper, it might work out for you, but you're definitely going to want to have smaller hands given the smaller dimensions of the mouse. Structurally, this thing can definitely take a beating. There's little to no flex, and that's impressive for a mouse that's only $59.99 and it's coming in at 65 grams with no holes whatsoever. The surface is matte, and while it's comfortable to use, after a solid gaming session, you really feel like Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs. And I know I'm showing my boomerness in me with that reference, but it collects any and all oils from your hand. Gamesense went with a pretty simple approach to the RGB, nothing excessive. You do have your Gamesense logo here that when you do tap on the DPI, it does change accordingly. And on the bottom, if you tap this button, that's going to be your RGB button. And that allows you to go through the available profiles. And honestly, the diffuser, the plastic here, actually does a really good job on blending all the colors, and it does look pretty clean. Throughout, all 5 clicks are going to be Kale's GM 4.0, which is a huge move, and I definitely give the folks at Gamesense props for going this route. These clicks are super snappy with a sharp rebound. Let's go ahead and drop a sound test on that now. The strafe cord is what they're calling their paracord like cable that's built in out of the box, and throwing the gimmicky name aside, it is a fantastic cable, arguably one of the best in the game. It is really floppy, so there's really no tension at all, and it has next to zero memory on the installation of the cable itself. You really don't need to be replacing the cable unless you prefer another color. Replacing it will be easy, as you do get an extra set of feet, and the feet are tapered, but they're really kind of thick. They glide smooth with no noticeable drag or scratching that I've noticed on any pads that I did test. The side buttons have next to no pre or post travel, which I love. They do feel extremely solid. Now on mouse 1 and 2, there is noticeable pre-travel, but it's not really that big of a deal. It's nothing that's too loose that you're not able to really get accustomed to. The only issue I have between the buttons on the Meta is going to be the scroll wheel. While the tactility and the threading on the scroll wheel is really up there as some high quality stuff, as it does use a 4.0 switch for that as well. Unfortunately, the scroll wheel is very loose inside, so it doesn't necessarily rattle when I shake the mouse. However, if you do press against its side, you can kind of feel it click as it goes back and forth and slides in its position. Hopefully that's something that in future copies QA can address and maybe tighten that up a little bit. While we're on the underside of the mouse, you'll notice that we do have a really good sensor positioning where you're going to be gripping the mouse. That is going to be the 3360 sensor that's in there as well. A tried and true sensor, nothing really to talk about at this point in 2021. Now, the one thing I do want to let you know is that out of the box, this has an insane liftoff distance of 3 millimeters or so. Luckily, Again, the fine folks over at Gamesense, they recognized the feedback right away and issued a firmware update that's available on their website as well as their Discord. So make sure if you do pick up your copy, you download that firmware as soon as you can, so it'll alleviate that liftoff distance to right around 1 millimeter. And let's be real, that's a quicker response than something that Logitech, Razer, or SteelSeries has ever done. So huge props to the folks over at Gamesense. So to wrap things up, I think Gamesense's Meta is a fantastic mouse. It doesn't really bring anything new to the table, but coming in at $59.99, it's an insane value for someone that's looking for an affordable mouse that's built super sturdy, that's going to offer performance within the clicks and the sensor itself, as long as you make sure you update that firmware to fix that liftoff distance. This is definitely a competitor that I could see sitting on my desk for a long time coming, only because the S2 was my main for the longest time, and with it being a little bit smaller, I absolutely dig it. If you did dig the video though, definitely hit a thumbs up and hit that subscription button. It would mean a ton to me, so I can definitely continue to try to rapidly give you guys more content and kind of catch up on things, as we've seen a lot of new releases, and of course things are only going to get even better down the line. So until next time, I'm Jafer, and you guys stay safe.